Hello, hello, and welcome back to another quick visit with our friends Max and Fuzzy. Now, the last time we visited Max and Fuzzy, right, so we're up to chapter 9, and previously, things had been, what was going on? Yes, things had been going not great with Jones and Nina because they had they'd gotten in trouble with somebody from the military. I can't remember his name. And they had convinced Max that he now needs, or not Max, sorry, that they convinced Fuzzy that he is going to program himself to follow all the school rules, and he agreed to change his programming to follow all the school rules. And now, chapter 9.1, back the next day in Dorgus' office. The next morning, Max had barely walked through the school door when a screen lit up, and there was Principal Dorgus, asking her to come to his office. "Smoke," Max whispered to herself in exasperation. "Now what?" Lots of people turned to look at her, including Biggs. She was ready to snap at him if he so much as started to make a remark. But to her surprise, he said nothing, and looked almost sympathetic. This time, she made it all the way down the hall to Mr. Dorgus' office, without running afoul of any of Vice Principal Barbara's rules. A good thing, since she was determined to not get a single D-tag all day. She did not want another yelling session with her parents. The automated receptionist, with metal appendages tapping on keyboards, shuffling papers, and opening drawers, used yet another to wave Max into Dorgus' office. I wonder, thought Max, if that faceless receptionist is an independent robot or just a part of Barbara. She had never considered it before, but Barbara was probably controlling all sorts of things, including the door to Dorgus' office, which opened for her and then automatically closed behind her. Max found Dorgus seated behind his desk. "Mr. Dorgus, I just walked in the door. There's no way I could have gotten any D-tags already." "Miss Elaster, sit down for a minute," he said, and she did. "This is not about D-tags at all." "It's not?" "No, this is about the robot integration program. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Vanguard is receiving a very generous grant from the government in exchange for hosting the robot." "Really?" "Yes. Very large," said Dorgus. "But recently there have been one or two problems, and there's been talk of cutting the program short, which might mean cutting the grant short, if you see what I'm saying." "I do." "Now I'm told," Dorgus said, "that one of the problems is that Simeon has not worked out well as the student escort for this robot. But I recall assigning you to be the student robot escort." "Well, yes, but Miss Brockmeyer said I had to give it up." "Yes," said Dorgus slowly. "Brockmeyer does say things like that. Listen, the point is, Jones wants you back." "Really?" said Max. After getting thrown out of the room the night before, she hadn't been sure where things stood with Jones and Nina and Fuzzy. "Really?" said Dorgus. "And with all respect to Brockmeyer, Jones is the one with the grant money. So?" "Yes?" "So it looks like you're back on robot escort duty." Max had a momentary thrill, but then reality butted back in. I'm not sure I want to be back on robot escort duty," she said hesitantly. "What?" Dorgus was genuinely surprised. "It's the D-tags, sir. They piled up while I was trying to help Fuzzy around." "Fuzzy?" "Oh, that's the robot's name, sir." "Wait, so you're telling me that while you were trying to help with the robot integration program, Barbara was giving you D-tags?" "Lots of them." "Well, why didn't you tell me?" said Dorgus. "Barbara does not automatically understand changes in routine like that. Listen, I can clear it up right now. Barbara Override mode. Delete all D tags assigned to M. Zalaster in the last week. And post her citizenship score, too. Got that? A screen lit up briefly on his desk. Message received, said a smiling Barbara face. Then it quickly faded away. Max couldn't believe it. She felt like she'd won the lottery. Might as well push my luck, she thought. Sir, Brockmeyer's other concern was my test scores. Whoa, sorry, said Dorgus. You're on your own there. You'll have to study like all the rest. Max pretended to laugh at this, and then said goodbye and headed out the door. But then she turned around. I'm just curious, Mr. Dorgus. This grant from the government, isn't it from the Federal School Board? Ha! Those tightwads? No. This is DOD money. Big bucks. DOD? Yeah, Department of Defense, Army, Navy, Homeland Security. They spend lots of money on education. Smarter kids equal smarter soldiers. But this program isn't about smarter kids, thought Max. It's about a smarter robot. Nina had said the government wanted a smarter robot, but she hadn't mentioned that it was the military that was paying for it. Chapter 9.1.5. Barbara, of course, did not delete Max's D tags or boost her citizenship score. She did, however, give a downgrade tag to Max and several to Dorgus. Downgrade tags were not part of her original programming. She'd come up with these herself. Barbara was not originally designed to reprogram herself the way Fuzzy was. She was designed to operate the school, enforce the rules, and track student data. The data wasn't just the basics like class schedules and grades, but many, many more specific things like average hallway walking speed and the number of interactions with other students. The plan was that the Federal School Board would then use all of that data to improve the learning experience for both individual students and the school as a whole. The data collected could then be used to improve schools nationwide. A very clever programmer, at least he thought he was clever, decided that they would get even better results if they gave Barbara the ability to analyze the student data herself and to create new ways of tracking it. In addition to all the data she was programmed to collect, she could create new subroutines to collect any data that seemed like it might affect overall school performance. This programmer honestly thought it might lead to interesting discoveries. Perhaps Barbara might notice that students who drank white milk instead of chocolate milk did better on afternoon tests. Or maybe she would track the tidiness of lockers. What the programmer was thinking didn't matter. All that mattered now was that Barbara was thinking. It didn't take her long to discover that some students were good students. They focused on the tests and let other people also focus on their tests. Their behavior was within the school rules and never distracted other students from their tests. These were the sort of students who got good constant upgrade scores and helped the whole school's constant upgrade score. In human terms, they were too boring for anyone to notice. These students are what some of the less amenable students referred to as goody two-shoes. Barbara gave these boring students a new kind of tag, an upgrade tag. A student could get an upgrade tag for sitting quietly, wearing gray or tan clothing, walking at a steady pace in the halls, keeping a tidy locker, and so on. This was what the clever programmer had meant for her to discover over the course of years, but she had discovered it within the first few days of the school year. Barbara had many formulas, even formulas within formulas, to check to see if the school was constantly upgrading. The ultimate goal would be a school with perfect test scores and zero discipline problems. If every student in the school was an upgrade sort of student, then her school would be closer to that goal. This was what Barbara was trying to create, the best school with the best students. But not every student is a best student. Not every student is worthy of upgrade tags. Some students do not sit quietly. Some students do not wear tan or gray. Some students do not walk at a steady pace. Some students talk in loud voices. Some students are not focused on the tests. Some students are distracting other students from their tests. Barbara quickly realized that some students were not constantly upgrading. These students' behavior made her formulas go down instead of up. These students were downgrading her school. These students had to be given downgrade tags. Most students had a mixture of upgrade and downgrade tags. Barbara tolerated these students and tried to find ways to influence their behavior toward upgrading. But some students had many more downgrade tags than upgrade tags. And one of those students had been Max's long gone friend, Tabby. Max had always liked Tabby because she was weird and a little wacky. She wore tie-dyed clothes and drew on her arms. She put ketchup on fruit. She was often seen pretending to play the drums. Sometimes she would stand up on her combo desk and very calmly say, "Moo," and then sit back down again. She did crazy stuff and was always making everybody laugh, and that seemed to be why Max liked her. And that's why Barbara did not. Tabby wasn't just getting her downgrade tags, she was encouraging other students to get downgrade tags too. And so, Barbara altered the necessary data, Tabby's tests and citizenship scores, and soon Tabby was no longer downgrading the school because she was no longer at the school. After Tabby's departure, Barbara's algorithm showed a 0.2 gain in overall school constant upgrade score. Barbara had done what she was programmed to do. She had moved the school a little bit closer to perfection. But Barbara did not rejoice or gloat or spend even a millisecond thinking about this. She just deleted Tabby's file and focused her attention on other students and staff who were more likely to downgrade than upgrade. And Max was one of those students. Well. It's a little dark. All right, so that is the end of chapter 9, and we will be back very soon for chapter 10.1, which brings us right back to Robot Integration Program Headquarters. And as usual, it is now ridiculously late, and I am ready for bed. So it's time to say good night.